My girlfriend took one sip of her matcha, put it down, and asked, "Is this oat milk?" I smiled. "Yeah, oat milk, like you always get." The entire table around me, all 6 of her closest friends, went dead silent at once. Her best friend Jessica gasped like I'd just confessed to stealing from old ladies. "What's wrong?" I asked, but nobody would even look at me. My girlfriend Jenna set the cup down slowly, and with a shaky voice said, "I think you should go." My jaw dropped in confusion. I'd just driven 20 minutes to get her matcha from the specific cafe she liked, because the one near the restaurant wasn't the same, and now she was telling me to go for getting her order right? "Jenna, what's happening?" She didn't answer, just stared at the matcha like it had personally betrayed her. I turned to Jessica, who I'd known for 2 years, who'd called me the best boyfriend Jenna's ever had at her birthday party last month. "What's happening? Did I do something? Does someone here have some oat milk trauma I don't know about?" But she just looked at me with pity. Actual pity. "You did do something." She looked down. "But I can't tell you what," she whispered. "It's not my place." I put my hands over my head. "What do you mean it's not your place? I got a matcha with oat milk. What on God's green earth am I missing?" That's when Jessica turned away from me. "Your anger is scaring me now, and the fact you somehow still don't know is making me rethink everything. You need to leave." I stared at her, at all her friends, feeling like I was in a bad skit. I got up and walked to my car without another word. On the drive home, I called Jenna repeatedly. She actually answered the 4th try, but the second she did, she said, "I can't even talk to you right now. Don't come to my apartment tonight. I need space," and hung up. I stared at the road ahead of me in disbelief. We'd been together for 2 years. I just told my mom I was going to propose next month, and she was tweaking over a matcha order. The second I got home, I texted her friend Olivia. She was the quietest one in the group, the most reasonable. "Hey, I know this is weird, but something happened at brunch. Jenna won't talk to me. Do you know anything?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "I'm sorry, but I think it's best if you talk to Jenna about this." I couldn't take it anymore. "She won't talk to me over matcha. Please, Olivia. I'm losing my mind over here." Her response, "Honestly, after what you did, I don't blame her. You should really take a look at yourself." Then she blocked me. I threw my phone across the room in disbelief. This was insane. I got her a matcha. What was I supposed to do? Travel the world, roll out the red carpet, and have some old Japanese dude carry it across the 7 seas for her personally? I needed answers. I drove to her friend Kayla's apartment. She'd been at our housewarming. She'd helped Jenna pick out my Christmas gift. If anyone would give me a straight answer, it was her. I knocked. She opened the door, saw it was me, and tried to slam it shut, but I stuck my foot in the gap. "Dude, tell me what's happening." She looked at me like I was a stranger. "You have some nerve showing up here. I brought her a stupid matcha." I raised my voice. "Why is everyone acting like I ordered the crucifixion?" Her jaw tightened. "You need to leave. And after today, I don't think Jenna's going to want to see you for a while." She closed the door in my face. I drove around for an hour, honking at random cars because I was so angry and confused. Then I remembered someone who might help, Jenna's older sister Rachel. We'd always gotten along, and she was honest to a T. I showed up at her door 15 minutes later. She opened it and her face fell. "Oh no," she said quietly. "They actually did it." I froze. "Did what?" "Rachel, please. What's happening?" She sighed and led me inside. We sat at her kitchen table. "So why am I the equivalent of Ted Bundy for putting oat milk in her matcha?" She sat with her eyes closed for a minute. "It wasn't about the matcha." "Well, yeah, I'd be more worried if it was. So what is it?" Silence. "Rachel, please." She looked at me for a long time. "Jenna made a bet with her friends 3 months ago. About you." The room tilted. "A bet about what?" "About how whipped you are." Her words, not mine. "She bet them that she could treat you however she wanted. Blow up over nothing. Give you the silent treatment for days. And you wouldn't leave. You just keep trying to fix it." I couldn't breathe. The matcha thing was the final test. She was going to flip out over something completely fake and see how far you'd go to win her back. She pulled out her phone, showed me a group chat, screenshots of my texts to Olivia, to Jessica, photos of me sitting in my car outside the restaurant looking confused. Jenna had sent a voice note 30 minutes ago. "I told you guys, he'll never leave. I could do literally anything." 50 laughing emojis underneath. I stared at the screenshots. 2 years. I was going to propose. I thanked Rachel, grabbed a bottle of her wine, drove home, not drunk. Then while drunk, sent everything to Jenna's mom. 24 hours later, Jenna was calling me, screaming she was out of the will because her mom thinks she's a parasite. I hung up and sent a picture of me drinking matcha with oat milk in response.
"Stop stealing my assigned parking space. I work at a warehouse and we get assigned spots based on seniority. After 6 years, I earned spot 42 by the side entrance. It's 2 minutes closer than the front lot, which matters when it's freezing outside. New guy Dwight kept parking there because he didn't want to walk from his assigned spot near the back. 3 times a week, I'd show up at 6 a.m., and his Nissan was in my space. The overflow lot is gravel that turns to mud when it rains. I left 2 notes on his windshield. He threw them away. I told Janet, our supervisor, and she said she'd talk to him. She didn't because Dwight argues about everything, and Janet avoids conflict like it's contagious. Week 3, I stared at his car in my spot at 6 a.m., and something in me just broke. I clocked in, grabbed the smallest forklift, and moved his car to the back of the overflow lot near the broken fence. Parked mine in my actual spot. 2 hours later, Dwight was asking everyone who moved his car. I kept eating my burrito. Janet told him he probably forgot where he parked. Next Monday, his car was back in my spot. I moved it to the loading dock where the 8 a.m. delivery comes in. He had to scramble to move it before the truck arrived. He parked there Thursday and Friday. I put it behind the dumpsters Thursday. In the truck yard Friday. By Friday, he was in Janet's office pointing outside and talking loud. She came to me after and asked if I'd been moving cars. I said yes because he keeps taking my spot. And you didn't handle it like you said. She told me to stop and come to her first. I reminded her I already did that 3 weeks ago. Monday, a black Dodge Charger sat in my spot. Not Dwight's car. I asked around and learned it belonged to Brandon, who started in management last week. He's the owner's nephew. Nobody wanted to tell him where he could or couldn't park because complaining about the owner's family is a good way to get fired. Janet definitely wasn't going to risk it. Our owner, Mr. Hewitt, runs 4 businesses and barely comes here. But that week we had a huge potential client touring the warehouse to see if they'd contract with us for distribution. Wednesday, the Charger was in my spot again. I saw Mr. Hewitt's Mercedes out front when I arrived, so I knew he was here for the client tour. I waited until 9 when tours usually start. Then I took the forklift and drove that Charger right through the loading bay into the warehouse. I stacked 2 pallets of inventory boxes tight on each side so the doors couldn't open. Boxed it in completely. Went back to shipping. 10:30. I heard Mr. Hewitt's voice bouncing off the warehouse walls. The tour group rounded the corner and froze. Mr. Hewitt, 3 people in suits, Janet and Brandon, all stared at the Charger trapped between pallets on our warehouse floor. One of the suits laughed and asked if this was standard procedure. Mr. Hewitt's face went red, asking whose car that was. Brandon admitted it was his. Mr. Hewitt asked how it got inside the building. Brandon stammered something about not knowing. Janet jumped in, saying someone's been moving cars around as some some kind of prank. Mr. Hewitt asked who would do that and why. He told her to check the forklift logs. My name came up. Got called to the office. Mr. Hewitt asked me straight up why I drove a car into his warehouse. I told him everything. 6 years working here. Spot 42 is mine. Dwight parked there for weeks and Janet wouldn't do anything after I reported it. I started moving Dwight's car myself. Then Brandon started taking my spot. And this morning it was occupied again, right when important clients were touring. Mr. Hewitt stared at me without blinking for 30 seconds. Then he turned to Janet and asked why she never addressed my complaint. She said she meant to talk to Dwight, but hadn't found the right time. He asked Brandon why he parked in someone else's assigned spot. Brandon shrugged and said he didn't think it mattered. Mr. Hewitt stood up. He said assigned parking is based on seniority, and it exists, so employees with loyalty get small perks that matter. He told Brandon if he can't follow the same basic rules as everyone else, he has no business in management, and fired him right there. He told Janet she's getting written up for ignoring employee concerns. Then he looked at me and said, I'm getting written up too for moving vehicles without authorization, but if anyone parks in my spot again, there will be serious consequences for them. The clients apparently thought the whole mess was hilarious, and signed with us anyway. Brandon sat in the office for 3 hours waiting for a tow truck to move the pallets and get his car out. Dwight got moved to night shift where parking's not an issue.